Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is May 20, 2024 and we are getting into the volume 209 of me answering your immigration related questions. As always, before beginning this video, I'm going to mention, as I mentioned in every video on this channel, I am not an immigration attorney. This is not legal advice. All the information provided in these videos on this channel are directly from official government sources like USCIS and of course the Department of State with their visa bulletin, which is currently on June 2024. All right, let's start with the very first question from Virum Andili. I am confused with address. I'm submitting extension of my parents' stay, B2 visitor visa. So that was a question on I-539, application to extend, change non-immigrant status. So Virum Andili. So currently it is available to file online. If you have to file for more than one person, which means that you're filing application package of I-539 and I-539A for the second or third, fourth person if you have more than two people, but sounds like you're applying for two people, for your parents, for your mom and dad. So in your situation, you have to file it by mail. So let's take a look at USCIS official government website for US citizenship and immigration services. Let's find Form I-539 and we see what currently the mailing addresses are for these. So this is the official page for I-539. I'll put it, you probably already have the link, but I'll still put it in the comment just in case if somebody else finds it helpful. So where to file? So we're going to be looking right here. So Form I-539 direct filing addresses. In fact, I'm probably going to put this one instead. So let's see. Filing Form I-539 with principal Form I-129. No, we're not doing that. Non-immigrants and their dependents. Now that sounds correct. So this is sounds like for us, be non-immigrants and their dependents. Yes. So if you live in all of these states right here, so find your state where you live. All right. So if you live in any of these states, the filing location is for USPS, this one, for FedEx, UPS, DHL, this one. If you live in these states, Connecticut, Florida, Illinois, USPS, if you're filing the forms with USPS, this is the address. If you're filing the forms with FedEx, UPS, DHL, private couriers, then you're sending it right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna post the response and I'm gonna give you the link to this page right here. And when you open this page, click on non-immigrants and their dependents, because that's because you said that your parents are B1, B2, so B2 is their visa. All right, let's move on to the next one. Let's see, the link is here. Perfect. Let me copy this. From Mimim4409, it would not let me put not applicable for middle name. The dash will not go on. Should I put NA or N.A? Great question. So if you are filling out the form in your situation, I-539, and honestly, any kind of form that you're filling out online, please don't confuse the electronic filling it out with the PDF through the PDF Acrobat reader. Please don't confuse that. Filling out the form online means you are filling it out through USCIS portal. You created the online portal with USCIS and you're filing the form online. If you are doing that, you don't have to worry about putting not applicable in blank spaces. You can leave blank spaces in online application. It is fine. It is only if you're dealing with the Adobe PDF, you're typing it up on the computer and then you have to print it out on the printer and then you have to sign and then you have to mail it. Only in those situations worry about blank spaces. You don't want to leave any blank spaces, so not applicable. If it does not allow you to do it in Adobe PDF, then don't worry about it. Just kind of mark a note somewhere, write it down like I have to go back to this page right there, and when you print it out, just go back and put not applicable, because sometimes in some of the applications when you are filling it out electronically, it does have those grayed out areas and you cannot type in anything in there. But for the online application, you don't have to worry about. Sounds like that's what you're doing it online, so don't worry about that. Okay, let's move on to the next one from Mohammed Yatera. Hi, my date of employment June 13, 2018. The National Visa Center NVC has received all the documents since October 5, 2021. I hear my interview at the embassy. Okay, so I'm assuming your interview has already been scheduled, but you just don't know it yet. Help me, how long will it take to get an appointment? I'm assuming, thank you. Okay, so depending on which category you're in, because as for family preference categories, employment categories, they have different categories as well. So if NVC already got everything, if you're already documentarily qualified with NVC, then yes, they already sent your application package to the US Embassy, and now, depending on where the US Embassy is, I cannot answer it, not even close, you know. Most of the times it's about year and a half that you're waiting after your immigrant visa is available, after you're documentarily qualified. So usually it's a wait of about a year for the US Embassy, at least for family preference categories. But in your situations, there's a lot of factors to consider. Which employment category you're in, is your immigrant visa is already available for that particular category, is your priority date current or not, and of course where you are in the world, because depending on how busy the US Embassy is in that country, it will take a different amount. Obviously, in the countries where there's a heavier immigration traffic, it can be a year and a half, 2 years. I know some people in Philippines are waiting about 2.5 years after the immigrant visa becomes available, for their interview to be scheduled. But on average, it seems to be about a year and a half as of right now. So hopefully that's helpful. But if you want a little bit more detailed answer, please come back and let me know a little bit more details, like which employment category, your priority date, and then where in the world you are. And I'll try to give you a little bit more details. But again, the best people that can tell you are the people that in your category, in your country, had already interview scheduled. So that's why I say on this channel, for everyone who's watching, doesn't matter which category you're in, which country you're from, if you had your interview scheduled, please let me know in the comments below, because I do have the list right here in front of me, and I don't have a lot of countries on it yet, but I do write it down how long the interview wait in those countries is for certain categories, because if I do get the questions like this, I can answer them with a lot more precision. All right, let's move on to the next one. Looks like again from Virum Andili, for extension of B2 visitor visa for my parents along with I-539, I-539-1A, so I-539A, we have to submit I-134 or not. So I-134, if I remember correctly, that's an affidavit of support. Let me double check. And no, you don't have to do that with I-539. You don't need to bother with, it's affidavit of support. You don't need to worry about that at all. So just I-539 for, doesn't matter, your mom, your dad, and then I-539A for, depending your mom, your dad, doesn't really matter who's the main, who's going to be on the main application and who is going to be on the supplemental one. Okay, let me post a response, and we're going to move on further to USA Makashif or USA Makashif, sorry if I'm mispronouncing, 587. Hi, my case is F2A category in Now California Center. I'm from Pakistan, my wife lives in USA. She submitted my case 8 June 2023 and my case received 24 October 2023. So when I expect approval to come? All right, great question. Thank you for asking. So you're in all chargeability area, F2A category. Let's take a look and see what's going on the visa bulletin. We will look at the graph A to see the full length up until when the immigrant visa becomes available. So F2A for all chargeability is right now on 15th November 2021 as of June 2024. And you are, let's see, case reviewed. Okay, so they already reviewed it, but the case was submitted in June 2023. So your priority date is somewhere around June, July 2023. So 2023, June, July, and it's in November 2021. So you have about two years and maybe 2-3 more months waiting for the immigrant visa to become available based on your priority date. Now, the good news is that F2A has been moving rapidly in the past few Visa Bulletin editions. So it wasn't moving 1 month, every month, it was moving more. And that's good news, definitely, for sure, for F2A. And another thing to keep in mind is that before the whole pandemic, whatever closures, F2A used to be current. So I'm expecting to see F2A become current, I want to say in the next year. That's kind of a wishful thinking, maybe a year and a half if it keeps on moving the same way as it is right now. I think in a year and a half it might become current. So as of right now you're looking at over 2 years, but this is rough estimate because if we see the same movement that we've seen in the past few months on the Visa Bulletin, it's gonna be less than that. So yeah, that's really as much of a rough estimate I can give you right now. All right, let's move on to the next one from Gul Ahmad Adib, 7838. Dear sir, thanks for your informative video and your great job. Thank you. Thanks for watching. I have a P2 case that is under process. It will take a long time. So my brother from the US applied for I-130 for me and the I-130 was approved. Does this petition impact my P2 case? So Gula Ahmad Adib, P2, if I understand correctly, P2 is, I think it has something to do with entertainment. Let me double check, and I'm pretty sure it's a non-immigrant, but let me double check that. Let's see, P2 visa, there you go. So individual performer. So if this is what you're referring to, or there's also Iraqi and Syrian Priority 2, P2, Direct Access Program, DAP, which I'm not too familiar with. And honestly, I'm not familiar with this one either. But here's the thing. The difference between the two is that P2 visa, it seems like a non-immigrant visa for individual performers. And when you have a non-immigrant case, when you have a non-immigrant interview, and you have an immigration case going, yes, it might create some interference. It's not a 100% thing, but it is possible. At the end of the day, it's all at the discretion of the consul that is, you know, having the interview, taking your interview. So it's up to them. They can decide that no, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't interfere. That's fine. You can go. But the interference is that you're applying for a non-immigrant visa while you have an immigration case going. So they might look at it and say, why are you applying for non-immigrant visa when your intent is clearly to immigrate? And intent to immigrate might interfere with applications for non-immigrant. Again, it's not 100%. It's not that it's definitely going to interfere, but it is possible. It's a discretion of consul. It's possible. Now, going to the second one. Iraqi and Syrian Priority 2 P2 Direct Access Program. I'm not fully familiar with it, but it sounds like an immigration case. If that is the case, and you please let me know, clarify that, and I would really appreciate it because I would like to be familiar with it as well. If it is, and it sounds like it is, then you are fine. It doesn't matter whichever one comes first, because I'm not sure how long the P2 case, the Direct Access Program takes. But whenever it comes to, you know, siblings, US citizens, sibling applying for their brothers, sisters, yeah, it does take a very long time. And I can relate because I have myself a petition for my brother and I have another like 13 years we're gonna be waiting. But because both of these cases have the immigration intent, they're not gonna interfere with each other. Depending on whichever one comes up first, is the one that you take advantage of, and then make sure that the other one is withdrawn once you have a clear movement on one case. But because they both have immigration intent, there should not be any interference, there should not be any problems. All right, let me post a response and we're gonna move on to the next one from Boss the Fluff. Great channel, lots of information. Thank you for watching, glad this is helpful. Is there a way to see numbers for IR5 category? Yes, there is. I've seen statistical data for visa issuing of 1 or 2 per month by US Embassy in Sweden, but I cannot find anywhere if there is a chargeability limit for Sweden. I assume the immigration requests from Sweden are very low and the 1-2 is well within available visas. Is this correct? Honestly, yeah, it sounds right to me. But the thing is, you don't have to worry about the chargeability limits whatsoever, because whenever it comes to immediate relative categories, there is no limitations. There is no, these cases are not, the issuance of the immigrant visas, they are not limited at all. So that's definitely great news. But to answer your question, as far as the actual numbers of how much of a certain immigrant visa or non-immigrant visa, whatever, is issued for one specific country, you can find it. There is a link in the description of this channel for this page right here, and that is the visa bulletin page. It's not applicable to you at all, but this is the travel.state.gov, the Department of State website. And this is where you can find the exact numbers of how many visas are issued per specific category, per country. And you can find it on the left side right here under visa statistics. So I'm going to open that up, and if I can find it myself, I will give you the link. So you don't have to go through all of this, but let's see, report for Visa Office 2023. So that would be the most recent one for 2023. Obviously, they don't have anything for 2024 yet. So we're not looking at family preference categories, because these are 4 family preference category that do have the limitations. We're not looking at that. We're looking at immediate relative immigrant visas by area of birth, because we're looking for the country. So there you go. Let's see if we can find Sweden. No, I don't see Sweden. Oh, that's Africa. Okay, so let's keep going up until Europe. There you go. And Sweden, there you go. So we got 71 total immigrant visas issued for IR1, only 36 for conditional resident, which is also within immediate relative category. IR2 is on 17, CR2, IR3, you're in IR5, so only 9. So yes, so for the whole year of 2023, only 9 immigrant visas were issued. So yeah, you're pretty close with your numbers, but I'll give you this link. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna give you this link right here so that you don't have to open the PDF. But from this page, just click on immediate relative immigrant visas issued. The reason why I don't like the PDF links, because it's a government website, but still, when you're downloading files like that on your computer, it's unnecessary risk. All right, so let me paste this and link, and we're gonna move on. There we go to the next one from J Moody 8595. Hello, I got section 221G letter at interview 22nd March because of my medical issue, sputum test. But now on 15th May, my medical is completed and they send my report to embassy. So how much time embassy will take to revert back me for next further steps? Because right now I have left just 3 months within this time frame. I need to travel. Jay, thank you very much. That's a great question. So it's really hard to answer this because it's 100% at the discretion of the US Embassy. Most of the times, ideally, and most of the times they schedule it as soon as they're nearest up, because you already waited for your initial interview and it has been you appeared for an interview. It has been rescheduled, well, not rescheduled, but postponed until your medical exam is resolved, which it is now. So technically they should schedule you the very next available window, or maybe try to even squeeze you in because you already waited for whatever amount of time that you've been waiting for your interview. But again, it's no guarantee at all. It is fully at their discretion, and they can take, you can potentially wait the same amount of time that you have initially waited for your interview. It is possible. But what I would recommend you do is give them at least another month. Now it's been only 5 days, 15th May, your medical was completed and the report sent. Give them another 3 weeks at least. Give them another 3 weeks. If you don't hear back from them, reach out to them and give them a call through the phone and directly to the US Embassy, and I'll give you the link. You didn't tell me which country you're from, but you will be able to find it. And be nice, be professional over the phone. Let them know, hey guys, this is what happened. Now the medical is complete. It is already a report sent. I wanted to make sure, follow up, that you have received the reports and everything looks good, and that the new interview date has already been scheduled. If you can let me know for when, I would really appreciate it. Don't be upset if they don't give you the date. Don't be upset that if they say no, we didn't schedule it yet. Like I said, it's unfortunately at their discretion now. So here's the link, and just scroll down the country where you are, and whatever country. For example, if you're in Greece, click on Greece, and it will give you the list of the consulates and embassies in that country and their phone numbers as well. All right, let's move on to the next one. Post the response here and copy this thing right here from Quran channel 4622. Who scheduled the interview after you are documentarily qualified? Great question. So the interview is scheduled by the US Embassy in the country where the beneficiary is. If there are multiple US embassies in the country where the beneficiary is, the nearest consulate that does take the interviews, keep in mind, because some of them don't do the interviews, certain interviews. So again, there might be multiple embassies or consulates, and there might be one nearby the beneficiary, but they are not the ones that are scheduling the interview, it's the other one. But it's fully up to the US Embassy, and depending on where the US Embassy is, how busy they are, what their scheduling looks like, that's the amount of time you will be waiting. Obviously, keep in mind that there is also the availability of the immigrant visa that we are looking at, because once you are documentarily qualified, it does not necessarily mean that your priority date is already current and that your immigrant visa is available. I'm sure you already know that, but for everyone who's watching, just keep in mind. But yes, if you want to kind of give yourself rough estimates, on average, I would say for most of the family preference categories, it's about year and a half as of right now, in the countries with average immigration flow. It can be faster, it can be as long as 6 months and the interview schedule possible, but it also can be a lot longer, 2.5 years, again, depending on how busy the US Embassy is in that country. All right, let me post a response here, and we're gonna move on to the next one from Hamdi Mire 7690. F2A documentarily qualified, June 2023, priority date July 2020, which is current. Oh yes, it is, and it's been current for a while now. Waiting interview appointment almost 11 months. What should I do? Please, I request expedited interview 3 times. I failed. Djibouti Embassy. Sorry about that. Unfortunately, yeah, they made it. It was already pretty hard to get the expedited request approved through the NVC, and they made it even harder in the past few months, because now it is only life-threatening medical emergency that qualifies for the expedited request. That's it. Nobody else. Before, you could apply based on aging out, the CSPA. You could apply based on hardship, whether it's financial or some kind of problems in the country, or, there were a lot more options available. Now it's just medical emergency. Life-threatening medical emergency. That's how they word it on their website now. So yeah, it's really hard, unfortunately. But the good news is that you're already current. You already been waiting for 11 months. So you are looking, I'm thinking you're gonna be getting your interview by the end of this year. Now, Djibouti Embassy. I am not sure where that is, but let me see. Djibouti. Am I spelling it correctly? Djibouti. Okay, Djibouti. Let's see where it is. Aha, there you go. So Djibouti is in, doesn't tell me where it is here, or let me click. Embassy of India. No, that's not it. Okay, US Embassy in Djibouti. Maybe it is a country. Maybe Djibouti is a, sorry, my geography is I'm not sure which one is worse. It's my geography or my mathematics. That's why I do immigration. But it looks like Djibouti is a country, which is not bad news because, let's see, A, B, C, D. Yeah, Djibouti is a country. Sorry. Yeah, now you see, learning something new. Which is good news because, well, I haven't had a single question from anyone from Djibouti on this channel, which tells me that maybe potentially the embassy, the US embassy in Djibouti is not as busy as some of the countries with heavier immigration flow, which is definitely good news, which means that you might be falling within that average of about a year to year and a half of wait time before the interview is scheduled. And again, your interview is already scheduled. That's the thing. You just don't know it yet because they only announce the interview date 30 days before the actual interview so that you can do your medical examination within those 30 days. It's not very convenient because honestly, personally, I would prefer to know that my interview is scheduled a year from now rather than me waiting for another 11 months before finding out that my interview is scheduled. So your interview might be scheduled for, I don't know, July 1st, 2024. And unfortunately, you're not going to find out up until June 1st, 2024. So what you can do, because you've been waiting for so long, you can call them and be polite, be professional, as I recommend to everyone whenever you're dealing with government agency, no matter how bad your problem is, always be polite, always be professional. You can never solve anything by arguing. Let them know that your immigrant visa is already, that your priority date is current and it's been current for a long time and you have been documentarily qualified. You've been waiting for almost a year now for your immigrant visa interview to be scheduled, and see if they can give you the date when your interview was scheduled. Over the phone, the reason why I recommend this is because over the phone is not an official announcement of the interview date. They can look at their scheduling system and they can say, yeah, your interview has been scheduled 3 months from now, and that's it. It's not an official announcement. You didn't receive the actual invitation for the interview, so they can do that. They don't always do it, but it's in some cases, it's at their courtesy, but it's possible. Or instead of giving you the actual interview date for you, they can look in their scheduling system and say, oh yeah, we currently have about a year and a half wait for the interviews. So you can calculate, because you waited for 11 months, now you know that you have about another 6 to 7 months to wait for the interview based on the wait that they can tell you over the phone. Again, not an official announcement, just looking at the scheduling system. If they say, no, we cannot do that, we cannot give you that information, don't be upset, but it's definitely worth a shot. But I'm thinking you should be pretty close. Your interview is right around the corner. And let me paste this link right here, and we're gonna move on to the next one from, looks like a couple of comments. Ifiniakin. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing, probably am. Hello, please, how can my wife and I go about getting my interview and visa to join her? In our case, she filed for me since April 2022, and last year 2023 we submitted everything requested of us, and after they replied that they will get back to me for my interview date. Okay, so I'm assuming you're already documentarily qualified. But up till now, have not received any email for interview. Please advise. I just came across your channel today. All right, well, I'm glad you came across the channel. So it depends. Obviously, this is a spousal application. Your wife is petitioning for you, or you're petitioning for your wife. Doesn't really matter. There's two possibilities here. It's either it's an F2A case. If your wife is a permanent resident petitioning for you, you're in the F2A category. Or if your wife is a US citizen, then you're in immediate relative category. The reason why this is an important distinction to make is because if you are in immediate relative category, there is no limitation on the immigrant visas for immediate relative category. So once you were approved by USCIS, your immigrant visa was already available. And sounds like you're already documentarily qualified, which is fantastic news. So literally now you're just waiting for the interview to be scheduled. And again, like I've been mentioning in previous responses, depending on how busy the US Embassy is in the country where you're from, you are potentially looking year and a half. This is an average. And again, it was not the average, it was not the case. The average was about 9 months before the whole pandemic situation. Now it's about a year and a half, but they are catching up, so it's gonna, hopefully, it's gonna come down. Again, this is my wishful thinking, because I'm an immigrant myself and I have petitions that I'm waiting on myself. But if you're in F2A category, if your wife is a permanent resident and she's petitioning for you, then we are looking at the visa bulletin, and she filed back in April 2022. Currently, if we look at the visa bulletin, F2A priority dates that are becoming current are November 2021. So she filed in April 2022, and right now it's on November 2021. So roughly there's about another year you're waiting before your priority date becomes current, and after it becomes current, then they start scheduling that immigrant visa interview. So there is additional time waiting for the immigrant visa to become available. So if you want, you already know, you don't have to let me know which category you're in, because you already know the distinction between the two. But it's kind of, if you want to know, if you want to let me know so that I can come back to it and kind of follow up on it, just let me know if she's a permanent resident or if she's a US citizen, because it makes it a lot simpler, a lot more streamlined, being a US citizen and petitioning for your spouse, because then you're not dealing with the visa bulletin whatsoever, because there is no limitation on those immigrant visas. Okay, so thank you very much everyone for asking your questions today. Hopefully you found my answers helpful. If you have any follow-up questions, drop them in the comments below. Just make sure don't respond to my comment within your comment, because YouTube does not show me those notifications. Just submit it as a separate comment and I will be able to address it in one of the next episodes of these Q&A videos. So thank you very much everyone. God bless, and I will see you all in the next video.